What's up, Yinzers? You are watching the Sick Podcast. Steelers crazy. We're elated to bring you another episode today. Thanks for joining us. I am Mike Nicastro. Find me on Twitter at MikeUpSports1. That's my guy. This way, I guess. At J York Football, Jordan York. Jordan, how are you today, man? How you feeling? What's good in the Berg?
I'm blessed. Going on a weekend trip to Deep Creek. Just too much Steelers quarterback talk. I just had to take the weekend and be one with nature, go on a hike with the family, eat some good food. So that's where I'm at, man. It's off season, but there's a lot going on in Steeler land.
Does part of that have to do with the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff you were firing out there lately?
Oh no, bro! I wake up.
Twitter is.
Listen, man, I wake up every day and just ready to take on the day. And what better to just fire off a morning tweet? I told you, I texted you, kind of inspired me because I've never, I used Twitter back in my music days, and then I was like, I got to start getting on the Steelers, the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. So every morning after my workout, I'm fresh. I'm mentally strong.
You're ready to fire up the world is what you're ready to do.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, Twitter. Good, bad, that's what we're here for. I don't care if you agree with me. That's what we're here for. It's just talk. Welcome to America. Freedom of speech. You love it. This is what I live for. This is the thrill of it, baby. And you're living it here on this Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. Why don't you rattle off those partnerships?
Yeah, here's a couple things. A couple things we live for as well. Of course, want to start with City Wheelhouse. Bringing you fantastic and quality service all the time. They are absolutely where the bar is set. Make sure you visit John and John over there, of course, at Steel City Wheelhouse. Tires for all cars and trucks can be purchased online. Just head on over to steelcitywheelhouse.com. And it's always great to have financing available. And then, like Jordan always says, after you get your tires,
I got the Stoney set on.
Go get some beer. You're
I switched up
alcohol. When you're reading Jordan's tweets these days, you're going to need some alcohol to help them go down.
Hey, whatever you need.
So let's talk
this is showbiz, baby.
A little bit. Stoney's is always delivering excellence as well. Great taste, great product, and great people. Can't settle for a run-of-the-mill mass-produced beer when you can have the best beer. Upgrade your beer game, raise your standards. Taste the difference that Stoney's beer can deliver. It's on his hat. We're raising our standards and upgrading our game today with a phenomenal guest. Of course, talking all things Pittsburgh Steelers and National Football League. We'll be back with him in a second. Sammy, go ahead and roll it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
All right, we're stoked. Our next guest today is a senior writer for a little publication. You might have heard of them, Yahoo Sports. He's coming to us from Washington, D.C. today. It's none other than Kendall Baker. Kendall, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you guys having me. I, as somebody who covers, sports nationally and every sport, I'm pumped to be on like a team-specific podcast. Love the energy, especially when there's quarterback debates going on. This is sports, baby. This is sports.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a great show, and we're really excited to
I got to ask first. Speaking of quarterback debates, you're up there in D.C. What's going on right now? Is it Drake May vibes? Is it?
I mean, look, I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm actually a Giants fan.
Okay.
So I quite frankly couldn't care less about the Commanders from a fan perspective, but certainly people around here, I think I would say the Drake May buzz is percolating.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
go ahead,
I
George.
could imagine. So another college quarterback, Kenny Pickett. What were your initial thoughts on him coming out of college, and what are your thoughts now?
I mean, I was never that high on Pickett. I thought, you rarely see that kind of, pit to pit. Like I feel like the second he got to the NFL, all the talk around him was just like the uniqueness of that situation and kind of wasn't really about him as a quarterback from a kind of a physical standpoint. And I don't know. I mean, I'd love to hear your guys' take, but at this point, what do people always say? You kind of are who you are at this point. I think I saw your tweet, the Garoppolo tweet, you pick at the two games, like that to me kind of sums up where we're at with Kenny Pickett. You want to give him that shot, but what at this point you shouldn't be in a position, in my opinion, where it's like, all right, let's give him 2 games, and what's he going to show you that he hasn't shown you yet in 2 games?
I mean, and that's like kind of for me personally, like, obviously you value a coach like Mike Tomlin but at the end of the day, the Steelers operate. So they had 3 head coaches in the Super Bowl era, and that's just how they operate, and they need to make a change, I think. And it starts at the top. Everyone's like, well, Tomlin did it with this quarterback, this and that. He drafted Kenny Pickett. Tomlin runs the Steelers. We had, I think, Jersey Jerry on here, Mike, and he knows Kenny Pickett and those guys over there, and he was telling us, he was saying, this is Tomlin's team, and he's going to say what goes. And unfortunately, you see how it's going. Non-losing seasons and no playoff wins since 2016. So it's crazy. So we'll get some quarterback talk before I throw it back over to Mike. Russell Wilson's a big name that's coming up now. Just give your thoughts on that.
In terms of Russell specifically?
Yeah, I mean, just going to the Steelers possibly, because I mean, obviously every quarterback right now is in the rumor talk. Like at this point, like I'm waiting for Tom Brady to come out of retirement. So.
Right. Well, I will say this. Look, and I think this is kind of a trap we fall into as like sports fans and sports writers of like the archetypes. But there is something to be said for like a team like the Steelers, which you guys have a lot of talent across the board. You kind of are missing that quarterback. And a Russell Wilson that's like a veteran. He's not going to – I mean, look, Russell Wilson is certainly a shell of himself in terms of what we think of. But
short window.
There's something about that marriage of like a team that's kind of ready to win and just needs that quarterback, the plug-and-play veteran that's not going to lose you the game. It kind of makes sense to me, but at the same time, it also doesn't make sense. And you think about like the Justin Fields, another potential rumor, like that's just so much more exciting. And also to your point with Tomlin, I don't know where you guys stand in terms of where you guys are at, but like Russell Wilson signing doesn't give you that jolt of like new chapter. I'm not saying you need one, but it just doesn't. I don't know. There's something about it that's like
it's not a future thing. Like I said, it's a short window. Like you probably have if you want to make a Super Bowl run, I would say 2 or 3 years. Mike, what do you say?
Yeah, and that's why I want the best quarterback on the market, however. And I don't think Kenny Pickett is that. I certainly don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is that. And I don't think Ryan Tannehill is that, which is a guy that has been talked about a little bit here recently. After Smith hire. Yeah, of course.
Arthur Smith. Yeah.
Is there any talk of Kirk Cousins, by the way, in Steelers world?
You took the words out of my mouth as I was going to say. No, nice. I love it. Perfect segue because you're on the same wavelength. I would throw everything I can at Kirk Cousins because I threw it out there the other day. I said, which quarterback of this list gives you the best chance to win a Super Bowl? Right? In the quarterbacks descending order, Cousins, Wilson, Fields, the ones we mentioned. And Cousins got the most votes, and I completely agree with that. So if you think you have a team now that is currently constituted that can win a Super Bowl, they made the playoffs with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. They're a pretty damn good team, sans quarterback. If you think you can win a Super Bowl now, you get the quarterback who is the best available option, or you at least try and do everything in your power to get that guy. Now, there's so many circumstances surrounding it, right? The money, obviously, his connection to Minnesota, where he wants to play. But that's the name for me, Kendall, that I would try everything in my power to get.
And look, I hear you, especially when you have a team that you guys, again, you have talent across the board. And the NFL ultimately, I don't know if you guys follow other sports, but like we do in like the NBA, right? A lot of it is more forward thinking in terms of how you build a team. Like a Justin Fields is like, all right, this is setting us up for like, we can build something here. We can build around him. The NFL is a year-to-year league. Like you really should not, unless you're, extremely young or rebuilding, you really should just not be thinking about anything other than this upcoming season. So I kind of get your framing of like, look, like who is going to win us the most football games next season, and then we'll cross that next bridge when we get there.
It has a little bit of a Jets feel to me, not necessarily Rodgers Wilson, but
real quick.
What's that?
Are you comparing it to Jets last year or this year?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it they
get injured in the first game?
No, I know. No, Cousins got the injury out of the way, so I think we're good there. I'm saying you don't have trust in Wilson. You say take a deep breath, hang out behind a veteran for a little bit, and see what happens. We all know it doesn't matter with him anyway. His ship has sailed. But maybe you bring in Kirk, big time, year, 2 years and say, Kenny, take a step back. We'll see what we have with you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jordan, I know you're going to ask about a couple more guys, right?
Yeah, Justin Fields, who just said that, I guess he was on a podcast and I seen that he was like, yeah, I remember the Monday Night Football game and seeing the terrible towels. And I'm like, and then he unfollowed the Bears and it means nothing. I feel at times these guys are just trolling the media and the insiders just to, I mean, it's the off season. Let's be honest. It's February. Like it's slow time, it's baseball season starting. So
do you know how much power? You know how much power a quarterback that's like rumored to be on the market has over us idiots that have to cover. They're like, unfollow my team on Instagram.
Yeah,
it's like they could.
George Pickens did that during the season, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he unfollowed Kenny Pickett," and it's just like it's hilarious. It's that's the world that we live in. That's the world that we live in. That makes me and Mike. We say it all the time. That makes us feel old now because it's like we're in our 30s now, and it's like these guys, like this is what the new generation is. Like you forget we talk to these athletes on here all the time, and you're like these guys are 23, 24 years old. Me and Mike are 10 years older than them. It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
What do you think about Fields? Does he move? Is it Atlanta? Is it Pittsburgh? Is it anywhere?
I would say if I had to bet, I bet he goes to Atlanta.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's all a domino effect at this point. But I do not think he's staying in Chicago. I just if they I don't know. Who knows? But I'm betting Atlanta.
What are your thoughts on Mason Rudolph? This is a guy last year, obviously, who started the season as a third-string quarterback. Yeah. He comes in late in the season. And he plays pretty damn well. Propels the Steelers to the playoffs. A lot of confusion. That's probably not the right word. A lot of curiosity what will happen in the Berg. Some people think he wants to come back because of the loyalty they've shown to him and he's shown to them. And some say, hey, he wants to go seek potentially a starting job. Is there a job out there for him?
No, I don't think so. I was actually trying to kind of do the math on because obviously there's moving parts. Like there's not that many jobs, especially when you look at some of these mocks that have like 5 first-round quarterbacks being off the board in some cases. Like there's going to be at least 3 rookies probably starting. Like there's not many jobs. So I think his best shot to start would be staying in Pittsburgh if you guys give him that shot. I mean, I haven't been following on a local level. I do know that there's buzz around like that maybe being the answer. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm super high on him. I also could see him being like a pretty serviceable solution. Sorry about this dog here. Come here, buddy.
No, you're good. The dog.
We're big dog people
for Mason Rudolph. It sounds like.
Yes. So he votes. He votes. Rudolph has a bright future in Pittsburgh.
There you have it.
Like I would. Let me ask that back to you. If Mason Rudolph is your starter week 1 next year, like what are the vibes? Like how are you feeling about that?
I mean, vibes for me are better than Kenny Pickett. I think Mason has. I think Mason got a really, really tough rap because he was Roethlisberger's backup, right?
Yeah.
Like when your Hall of Fame quarterback goes out, no matter who comes in, you're like, this guy sucks. Get off the field. We hate this guy. And now he's the savior because, he's putting up the same stats, quite frankly, as he did when he would come in for Big Ben. But when Kenny Pickett's throwing 6 touchdowns and 20 career starts, and Rudolph throws 2 in back-to-back games, he looks like John Elway, right, immediately out of the gate. So at the end of the day, for me though, he's not going to win you a Super Bowl, and that's what your sights are on, obviously, right, Jordan?
Well, non-losing seasons lately, it seems like, unfortunately. I have one more before I throw it back over to Mike, and you talked about the tweet, the Jimmy G, obviously, he'll be suspended when the Raiders do release him, which I'm sure that will happen. It sounds crazy, but like everyone always says, the Steelers are confident. Mike Tomlin, I'm confident in Kenny Pickett. Okay, well, this is the perfect scenario. And it does sound far-fetched, but if you really break it down, it doesn't, because it gives you, okay, I know Jimmy, he's injury prone. I get that, but he is proven that he could be a winner. So I just said, it's kind of like a, 1 to 2 year, let's see, even if it's a 1 year.
I think I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think your logic behind that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like getting a guy who's not like, he's serviceable, right? And also he's experienced. I mean, I do think when we think about Jimmy Garoppolo, his 49ers tenure, like I don't know, it's kind of unfair to say, but a lot of that is like that offense, right?
Yeah.
Like I think Jimmy Garoppolo is who we saw in Vegas. But to go to the flip side of your point is sometimes I feel like those situations where you're going into a team, and maybe it's just from the media perspective of it all, but like I just have to imagine the locker room when you go into a season where it's like, all right, we've got this guy waiting in the wings in case something goes wrong, but we're going to give you a shot. You're almost setting yourself up for dysfunction. You're setting yourself up for just like weird decisions. Yeah. Something about it is like, I don't like it. But like I get your logic too. I mean, you know, like
I mean, at this point, that's what I mean. At this point, it's like, what are we going to do? Like, it's like, right. I get that it's, again, we keep saying this, it's only February, but you kind of want to know who your quarterback is sooner than later, or what your plans are, you know, going into the season. I mean, obviously it seems right now, Kenny Pickett, but I'm not confident in that right now.
Pick, let me narrow it down in terms of who I feel realistically are the most likely options. Like, who would you be more excited about? Russell Wilson, who I saw as the odds-on favorite to go to Steelers.
Yes.
Or Justin Fields, because I think those kind of give you, and throw Kenny Pickett in there then. So like you have your going, you have your younger, brighter future, then you have the like stopgap kind of veteran.
Yeah, I'll say this and then I'll throw it back to Mike and then we'll get you out of here. I think that I would like Russell Wilson. I think they're both an upgrade. I was never real high on Fields. I think I'm not, you know, maybe a different environment, new team, he could really, you know, shine. I think that's his upside. I mean, obviously, you know, he's a skill guy with the rushing, but I think that Russell Wilson, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, which Mike said already that, you know, that's the goal, obviously, I think you go Russell. I think Russell Wilson gives you a better shot. Like we're talking like, you know, 2-3 year window. So I would say personally, Russell Wilson. Mike?
Yeah, actually, I agree with you, Jordan. I will throw one note out there on Justin Fields, and that's people forget how young he is sometimes. Yeah. I did see a graphic the other day that he's like barely a year older than Kenny Pickett, right? Which, you know, he's made X amount of starts in the NFL. It seems like he's been in the league for 15 years at this point. So listen, I agree. They'd both be upgrades. Fields is a little sexier, but Wilson does give you a better chance to win right away. So it's a great question though. And you know, Jordan and I are losing our brains with all this quarterback talk at this point. But
I mean, this is our job to keep it going. It's fun. I mean, it's all in good fun.
It is fun. And look, I think it's a rare situation you guys are in where
we haven't been
like, but like, just like you rarely have a team that's like the roster across the board. It's like the missing piece is the quarterback. That's not typical. So it's fascinating. Yeah.
We've been crushing quarterback talk. Let's just briefly touch on the rest of what's shaping up here in free agency. Any storylines, any players hitting the market outside of the quarterback position? It doesn't have to be Steelers specific, but what are some
as a Giants fan, I'm curious about Saquon. Like, you know, that's what I'm watching. And then, I mean, honestly, you know, I haven't really. I'm still in like NBA All-Star grade mode. I haven't shifted over to next week combine off season, so I haven't really even looked.
That slam dunk contest was weak, man. I don't know what was up with that. Mike texted me it as well. He took the words right out of. I'm like, I'm glad that we got to witness the Vince Carter dunk contest. It wasn't even entertaining. It's like
terrible. My only defense of the NBA and the slam dunk contest now is like I genuinely wonder if we've done all the dunks.
Yeah. I agree with that. Well, Mac McClung proved you wrong.
There has to be a book somewhere.
But like when there's like a new dunk, it's like, all right, it's like kind of the same one, but you like, like I think we've kind of like they put the rim at like put it up like 15 feet and then
sure.
See what I don't know.
Well, how about just don't give Jaylen Brown's 50s for doing a left-handed dunk? Like, congratulations! I saw that at the park over here by a 13-year-old. Just the other day doing that. Okay, let's talk about one last thing before we get you out of here. Maybe just one big storyline in the NFL moving forward. Obviously, Caleb Williams has been talked about a ton. You know, you have Aaron Rodgers coming back. What's something, you know, maybe keep it NFC East related, you know, Cowboys. Is this a team that what's going on with them? And even the Giants, man. Is Daniel Jones your guy? You're really backing this guy still?
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to talk about the Giants because that feels too homery. But look, you said Caleb Williams, and this is also kind of a default answer. But I do think that when you're the projected number one pick, when you're as kind of, you know, famous as he was in college with the NAL era, he is like coming into the NFL with more of a kind of brand than your typical quarterback has in recent years. And then when you're coming into, and this is all assuming the Bears draft him, and when you're coming in where you had you said Fields is still very young. There's obviously, I know plenty of Bears fans are ready to move on, but there's also plenty that probably would be thrilled to keep him. Like, it's just going to be an interesting situation where it's like, you know, you're coming in as number one pick, a franchise that needs a boost, and like they made a pretty strong move to get you. And if he stumbles out of the gate, we obviously, and Justin Fields is like, you know, 3-0 in Atlanta or whatever, like it's gonna heat up real quick. So I just think it's going to be an interesting season from a narrative perspective around Caleb Williams, assuming all that happens.
Steelers Giants this coming season. I'm pretty sure it's in Pittsburgh. You ever been to the Burgh?
I have not. I'm dying. I need to come. I'm a big baseball fan. I really need to go to a Pirates game.
It's a beautiful park. If you, it's amazing.
Yeah. Hey, you know what date? What month? I might have to go look into that right now.
Yeah.
Giants Steelers. Did they release the? I don't think they released it just yet. Just I think where everybody is playing and who they're. But hey, hopefully it's a fun one. Maybe you get a nice Saturday afternoon, late season game or something. Or, no, actually, you want warm weather. What am I talking about? You want September or October. But if it's the case, man, we hope to maybe meet you there. You were awesome. It was great having you on the show. Tell everybody where we can find out what's the next project.
Yeah, sure. So I write a daily newsletter for Yahoo. Easiest way to sign up is yahoosports.com/AM. It's Yahoo Sports AM. It's really like Sports Center in an email, not to call out our competitor ESPN, but that's the best way to describe it. And you can follow me on Twitter at Kendall Baker. So I'm really covering every sport every morning. And obviously NFL is year round, so we're covering plenty of that.
Love it. Pirates got a shot at the wild card?
No.
Damn. All right. Well,
I'm an Orioles fan. I'm an Orioles fan, so we were where you guys are for so much of my life, and we're now feeling good. So you'll be here eventually.
You know Mike Elias?
Of course, he knows who that is.
Good guy. Good guy.
Jordan is related to Mike Elias.
Are you?
It's like a second cousin.
Yes. Mike
Elias is literally my god at the moment.
Well,
he's the best GM in sports, in my opinion.
After the Corbin Burns signing a trade,
you have it.
You have to. You needed some pitching. You got it. Somebody just got hurt, though. You need another pitcher, I think.
Yeah, Kyle Brash got hurt. What happens there?
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Elias, if you go look at what he did, obviously he was the assistant GM in Houston, and you compare it to what he's done with the Orioles, it is the same playbook. And it's like, if you keep following it, it's like we're due for a World Series soon. So fingers crossed.
He's killing it.
Tell you what, the odds of the name Kyle Bradish being thrown around on the Steelers Crazy Sick podcast today were low, but I'm happy we found a way to get that in.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
again, Kendall. Keep up the great work.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know what? I was just texting you before the show. I sent you a screenshot. I was like, I have baseball on my TV today. I am one happy man, and with how disgruntled people have been about the Steelers and the Pittsburgh Penguins, who aren't playing.
The Pirates might be the best team in Pittsburgh in 2024.
Let's go Bucks! He was quick to dismiss the wild card idea, but maybe one more starting pitcher over here in a weak NL Central, and we'll have to have our Pirates crazy. What is the word I'm looking for? Spinoff.
Crossover episode.
Pirates Crazy spinoff coming to you soon. So, man, that was fun. We appreciate everybody out there rocking with us. Steel City Wheelhouse. It's where the bar is set. Make sure you check them out in the Burgh. Of course, they have everything for you. Stoney's beer as well. Some of the best you can get anywhere in the world, not just Western PA or this country. Man, it is refreshing, delicious, cold, and beautiful. So hopefully you feel the same way about this show. Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, wait, I have one more thing.
What?
We have that Twitter post we have to mention
to
make sure all the viewers go and vote for Eliminate One Pittsburgh Steelers that you guys been sending your requests in. So we're sending them to the Roonies. What we'll do is we'll copy them and then we'll take it over to South Water Street over there.
I'm surprised they didn't eliminate Ryan Tannehill, being Titans fans back there. I don't know how they even stomach putting him on the list and having to look at his face.
Well, Bo Nix supposedly is Kenny Pickett 2.0, so that's probably going to be my eliminate.
That came right from me. So, and I know you're not eliminating Jimmy G. I would eliminate Bo Nix.
Damn, how? I mean,
and then we'll go from there. I
think of that.
I didn't eliminate Jimmy G, but some people immediately eliminated Jimmy G. I wouldn't eliminate him right away. I'd probably eliminate Tannehill over him, believe it or not, too. But we'll give it another one next week. I'm eliminating
the
Bo
ladies
Nix
would go crazy. You know, they marketed, Kenny Pickett from Pitt. Could you imagine Jimmy G? There'd be like a Jimmy
ladies.
G. There'd be like a Jimmy G. There'd be like a Jimmy G Italian restaurant, like when Rod Woodson had his place in Station Square.
Yeah,
Jimmy
it's not
G's
just the
Italian
ladies.
cuisine.
It's everybody in the burg. I think would be excited to have Jimmy G around because he's an attraction. People will be flocking to the football field, no doubt about it. And I just wish he was somebody, who could win more football. But
he's made of glass.
Yeah, it can be made of glass, that's for sure. But we'll go one at a time on each podcast. I'll eliminate Bo Nix on this one, and we'll leave the rest to a mystery.
Steelers Twitter. Thank you guys, as always. Peace, love, Steelers football. Until next time, have a great weekend.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.